Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pauline Titi Brown, Material Development Specialist from the Accelerated Quality Education for Liberian Youth ELP program. The purpose of this presentation is to highlight the difference between the perception and the reality of designing and implementing teaching and learning materials. My presentation will argue that formative evaluation, reflective practices, and classroom observation is a necessary and rewarding step in the instructional material design process that benefits all teachers, learners, and partners. In this presentation, we will describe the AQE evidence-based framework. We explain the rationale for investigating AQE teaching and learning materials. We will discuss our research methodology and summarize with a deeper insight from the focus group discussions, and we will share lesson learned. At the end, we'll ask you to reflect on how you can undertake similar research in your educational projects. The AQE material development used the following evidence-based resources to develop their teaching and learning materials. Key documents consulted and used include EDC's Read Right Now approach, Accelerated Youth Program, Liberia Accelerated Basic Education Materials, Accelerated Education Working Group, Principles for Accelerated Education. In addition to these, we rely on the experience and the expertise and local knowledge of the AQE team, the views and wishes of our partners, the Ministry of Education, and our funders USAID. From the onset, we consider the AYP materials as the first generation materials. We were mindful that we could not just print the materials with new covers for the following reasons. Our target age group is 8 to 15 years old, out of school youth. Therefore, our learners are diverse in skills and knowledge. As a team, we wanted to ensure that the materials were appropriate to our target age group and culturally responsive. Culturally responsive instruction is defined by Latson-Billing 2009 as pedagogy that empowers students intellectually, socially, emotionally, and politically by using cultural reference to impact knowledge and skills. At the same time, we needed to make sure that the EDC contractual arrangement were met with our funder and that teachers and learners had teaching and learning materials when the school year started. Time was not in our favor, therefore we engaged into a series of easy-to-do investigations, including 3 cycles of action research and reflective process. Listening to our teacher. The simple diagram that you are looking at there was used in our initial planning session, which we established as follows. AQE and MoE representatives will observe teachers using the materials in the classroom with their learners. Note the extent to which the teachers and learners were able to use the material as intended and conduct focus group discussion with teachers and learners to get their input on the improvement to be made. Based on these results from the field test observation, the materials may be revised and final versions prepared. The finding will then assist with future planning of teacher professional development opportunities and future actions to be taken. It was agreed that we will not be able to address all of the issues coming out from the field testing of the materials. However, we had the options or we made the decision to use face-to-face teacher training, coaching, and mentoring as another means of addressing issues that could not be addressed immediately in the materials. From February 2018 to February 2019, we carried out a series of activities. And the first one had to do with a focus group discussion where we heard the opinions of the learners and the teachers. Then we had another set of classroom observation conducted by the AQE team along with the Ministry of Education to gauge exactly what was happening in the classroom. And this was capped up with an evaluation of the curriculum by the MoE in 2009, where based on the experiences from the classroom, they actually went through the materials and made recommendations for further revisions to the materials. In 2019, we continued our activities by conducting shadowing activities in several counties, including Grand Bassa, Bang, Limba, Monserrado, and Lofa. Like we said, we did a lot of activities, but for the purpose of this presentation, our focus will be on the focus group discussion. And like we indicated, we'll be sharing with you what we have learned from the focus group discussion and share how we have used this learning for the improvement of our materials. We started up initially with these research questions and we allowed you a couple of minutes to read through them. Where did this happen? Who were those involved in it? And what were the setting? And so we use a set of criteria. And for example, to be a part, a school to be a part of this had to be either be a rural or urban school that must have completed at least 50% of the Unit 1 lessons being implemented at the time the focus group discussion was held. And so there was a total of 14 focal group discussion held across 3 counties. For the teacher, we had 30 males and 13 females taking part in the focus group discussion. And for the learners, we had 62 male and 68 females taking part in the discussion. Our data collection and analysis process. And so we had a focus group discussion team comprising AQE members and MoE members. And in that team, there was a moderator who moderated the process. We had 2 note takers, and the focus group discussion lasted approximately 1 hour. It was audio recorded and we went through the data analysis. And in the analysis of the data, the process was to identify themes that came across schools. And so if there was a theme coming up across all of the schools or some schools, we recorded that one time and we also recorded themes that were unique to individual schools. What are the weaknesses that of the study? The weaknesses is that at the time we did the research concerns a relatively small sample of AQE schools. The findings from the research do not necessarily mean that similar findings will occur in every classroom across the AQE project. Other factors that also impacted the focus group discussion included the teachers and learners' desire to please the interviewer. And project and participants facilitated the group discussions, and many of those conducting the interviews were known to the participant, especially teacher. Thus, the presence of the AQE staff may have biased participants' answers positively when discussing project activities. On the other hand, it also may have resulted in participants not being opening in answering some of the questions. Findings from the focus group discussions. And thinking on the initial questions that we have for our research, these are our findings. The teachers said that the guides were clear, that the materials were contextual, and both learners and teacher talking about materials being contextual did not necessarily or always refer to the reference of things that they can easily relate to. They brought in other things like attitudes of the both teachers and learners as regards the materials. The materials were useful to teachers and it helped them improve their skills. Teachers saw the guides as a tool for professional development and a factor for change in our practices. And this is because in these guides, they were using a variety of methodology, some of which were new to them, and that had an impact on what they were doing, not only in the ALP classroom, but also in the conventional classroom. They mentioned the multiple advantages of using the scripted lesson. It is time-bound, it is task-oriented, and teacher knows exactly what to do and when. Learners also have a part to play, and it is clear what the learners should be doing at each moment. So, for example, one of the participants mentioned the emphasis on time, task, or engagement with teacher during the lesson. And we quote him, it says, it keep you busy, no laziness. Another one says, since lessons are already printed, using the material is stress-free. These were quotes from participants of the Pala School. While teachers remain very positive about the materials, we find out that they were challenged in dealing with mixed ability learners. And they were also challenged in completing the lessons in the suggested time frame. Action taken as a result of the research, and so the teaching and learning materials revised to include recommendations for teachers, learners, and shadowing. There were face-to-face training, revised approaches to allow more practice, and coaching and mentoring was put into place, targeting common problems. Without shadowing, we can say, and without shadowing and reflective practices, we cannot make the TLMs as useful as they need to be. We always need to ensure that we understand the limitations of the TLMs and show teachers how to adapt them to the situation. In the same way that a creative cook will use a recipe, an experienced cook will adapt. Each recipe, according to the ingredients available, the number of people to be fed, the occasion, we hope we as a technical team will be able to support our teachers to use the teaching and learning materials. And so the photo here is samples of the implementation of the revision done. And so like the teachers and learners have requested that we include more illustration into the materials. These picture stories were developed and they were also reflected in the learner's workbook. I hope that we have convinced you that researching material help us develop and refine our materials to meet the needs of the Liberian teachers and learners. We encourage you all to undertake similar research and to ensure you have culturally responsive materials. These are questions that you should ask yourself when you are developing the materials. Thank you.